Okay, guys, I want to go over two, shooting tools, right? I guess I'll just call them tools, and it'll make sense in a second. But basically, let's say these are the two firearms that I recommend for a shit hit the fan because of the popularity of the round, the the AR-15, because police and military use AR-15s heavily, and then it's the most popular rifle in the U.S. Not the most popular caliber, but the most popular rifle. And then the Glock 17 again, because they use it big time in military. I believe we're looking at an economic collapse because we can't spend our way to wealth, and they're having more and more trouble making the economy look like it's good, But anyway, my thoughts here. Instead of taking a bunch of guys, let's say that you have 2, 3, 4. Say you have a small group of people. It's cheaper to fire 22 than it is to fire 9mm and 223. Even if you reload your own ammo, it's still much cheaper, right? So, because I believe these are some of the best firearms to go with in a shit hit the fan scenario, this is what I want to train with, right? Now, because the ammo is expensive, I have kind of an alternative. My thoughts: the Smith & Wesson 1522. Reason behind that is this actually functions like an AR-15. Parts are interchangeable for the most part. Your foregrips, magazines, stock, sights, all that, interchangeable. Unlike, let's say, the Mossberg, or the Mossberg, I think it's the 702 Tactical. Just a polymer shell doesn't actually function like an AR. The Colt 22 AR platform doesn't actually function like an AR. This does, which is why I wanted it. It's basically like an AR-15 with a 22 conversion kit. Stock is the same. Of course, that's not the big deal, but the magazine release actually, there you go. Just like an AR-15, actually works, right? Charging handle actually works. Of course, the difference is in a real AR, you have to pull it back farther. I tell new shooters with the AR-15, you pull it back like it's a slingshot and you let it go hard, right? This guy, not so much. So I just have him do it like that anyway. And the safety, right? Functions just like an AR-15, not just a mold of plastic that doesn't actually serve a purpose. It actually does. And I have this guy set up pretty much like my real AR-15, right? I have my foregrip on mine. If you've seen the video, the foregrip is also a bipod, doubles as a bipod. I don't have a light on mine. I switched out the original Magpul front sight and put it on my Kel-Tec, and it's got the old scope for my AR. You look at my old AR videos, that's the scope I used back then. I have a better scope on mine. I put the old one, which is basically an updated version of this one here, on here. But that's not really it. It's just there. I'll sight it in, take it off later. But it's more for iron sight practice. Shit hits the fan. Those of you out there with optics, I'm not an optics guy as far as battery powered. They're cool. I've got a couple. I've had a couple of optics on mine. Red dots, a couple, but I wind up just selling them off. The way I see it, if you're preparing for shit at the fan, you better forget about batteries. Anything that takes batteries, right? You're putting your life on a battery. That scope will work with or without a battery, right? Scopes can damage, optics can burn out or be damaged, or the batteries can die. But iron sights is where it's at. That's what you need to know. Actually, the M&P, this is the Sport, the M&P 1522 Sport. They all come with Magpul sights. So I've got it pretty much set up by my AR-15. So for a fraction of the price, I can take a couple people out there and we can do some shooting. Because 22 is much cheaper than 223 or 5.56. And along those same lines, as far as the firearm, I always recommend is going to be the full size or duty size Glock 17. Again, because of the popularity of the round and how popular the gun is. Easy to fix and reliable. For that, I recommend this Advantage Arms. I did a video about this too. Right? The reason I chose this, same thing, it actually functions like your full-size gun. You got your speed loader, cleaning kit. The magazines, I have dummy rounds in it that I store my guns with, and I took it out for the video, but to show you, they're hard plastic, right? There's I think there's a Tactical Solutions is the other one. They're kind of flimsy magazines. I was debating between this and the Tactical Solutions, but I prefer this because, first off, the way as far as you can use all the same the modifications you made to your Glock, and then I like the magazine. It's the plus, hard plastic, thick, good plastic. Right, this guy basically it functions the same as your regular upper wood. You just slide it on like when you change out, and there you go. Now this guy, same thing. You can still use the extended magazine release. You can still use the extended slide release, right? So there you are. The iron sights I swapped out. I made a video about that too. Just like my 9mm upper. So I practice with one, it bleeds into the other. When I usually go to the range, I'll start with this guy. After I get warmed up, I pop on the 9mm lower. Alright? Same thing with the 1522. My plan is to simply go ahead and start off with 22, and then maybe pull out the real AR-15 and fire the more expensive rounds. But that's basically it. As training tools, right? If you have a group, it's going to be much, much cheaper getting a couple boxes, a couple hundred rounds of 22 as opposed to a couple hundred rounds of 5.56 or 223, even if you reload. So those are the guns I recommended. So for that, I look for the best training tools, I guess. And if shit really hit the fan, well then you know what? I'd pull that AR-15 and I guess hand it to the 1522, and I'd hand it to the neighbor. It's like, you know what? It's better than nothing. And that 22 will kill, right? Anybody that doesn't think so, you know, you're in for a surprise, man. I recommend if you see a guy with an AR-15 and with a 22 of any kind, a 22 handgun or rifle, you know what make, model, don't just walk over there and try to take it from him, because it's going to end badly. Anyway, that's it for me. Just something I thought, if you have the extra money, start up, you know, it's a bit of money to start up, put into it, but once you're set, you can train many people on larger calibers. Get familiar with the gun, and there you go. If you're familiar with the 1522, you'll be more familiar with the AR-15. The cleanup, the breakdown is a little different. It's more like an AR-15, like I said, with a conversion kit. But, you know, as far as knowing how to use it, how to shoot accurately with it, how to use those iron sights, it's going to bleed over into an AR-15. And the 22 conversion, well, that's going to help bleed into the 9mm. Of course, not as much recoil, but again, you know, you take your time, follow up shots. And then 22, it's a pretty damn reliable kit. It had a couple hiccups with one magazine, and that was it. But, you know, hey, it's good to practice, you know. Practice clearing your firearm if it jams or something, you know. But anyway, that's my thoughts on it, guys. Y'all have a good one.